Hey y'all, it's Friday and it is day 25 of prayer. Y'all, we only got 5 more days left, which is insane because that means that we only have 5 more days left of this year. And I think, like most people, we are all trying to wrap our mind around that. It feels real strange. I'm gonna pause again because I forgot to turn my Wi-Fi off like I always do, so give me a second. Okay, we back. All right, so yes, it is day 25 of prayer. We are praying today for women who are struggling with people pleasing. And it's really funny because I don't know why this thing is shaking like this. It's really funny because every night I ask the Lord what he desires for me to pray for his daughters. Pray about, I'm mixing the words up. Every night I ask the Lord, what does he want me to stand in the gap for his daughters? Like, what does he want me to pray about, right? And I don't know why I asked him that at this point, because every single time I ask him what he desires for me to pray for, he typically gives me what I may be struggling with or what I'm still healing or processing from. It's always that. I don't know why I think it's ever going to be anything different, because 9 times out of 10, the topic he's going to give me is a topic directly connected to something that I'm currently struggling with or have struggled with. Okay? And people pleasing is one of those subjects. So when I asked the Lord today, God, what do you want me to pray about? He reminded me of a situation recently where I have found myself still people pleasing. And I'm like, oh, so you want me to pray for this, not just for your daughters, but for me, like most of these prayers. And so tonight we are going to pray for those of us who are still struggling with people pleasing. And the thing about people pleasing is that it's such a slope, a dangerous slope. It's such a slippery slope because it can appear like you just want to help people. It can appear like you just want to keep peace and that you don't want to have conflict, right? And so you tend to drift towards like doing what people want you to do because you don't want any trouble with them. You want them to like you, right? You want to be likable. But the problem with that is that God never called us to be likable, and he also didn't call us to people please. In fact, in his word, there's going to be 2 scriptures that I share with you guys tonight, he tells us that by us wanting to please man, we are not being his servant. And so we know that, or maybe we don't know that, but then yet we still struggle with this reality of like wanting to please everybody. And just some examples that I've struggled with, like there's been so many times where I have done things for people and did not want to do it, didn't feel like they deserved for me to do it, and I still did it because I just didn't want to have drama. And it wasn't until recently when my fiance and I was talking, and he was like, you tend to avoid conflict because you don't want to face it. And so because of that, you allow people to do whatever they want to do, and you don't set boundaries to show people like, no, this is my boundary. This is what it is. And when you cross that boundaries, there'll be consequences for that. And so you allow people to not have boundaries with you. And then because of that, they tend to walk all over you and do what they want. And then you have come to a point to where you don't even recognize that that's what they're doing because they've done it for so long. And I was like, first of all, don't come for me like that. And second of all, you're absolutely right. I've gotten so used to just allowing people to do what they want to do because I don't want conflict that I don't even notice that they're doing that. And I don't even notice the fact that this should be a boundary and they shouldn't cross this. And so I have allowed people to do the bare minimum, to show up in relationships with me doing the bare minimum, to take care of the kids and do the thing bare minimum. And I have still yet allowed certain things to happen because I just want to keep the peace, and I just want people to like me and still have great thoughts about me. But here's the thing. I'm not going into 2026 with that same feeling. At this point in my life, I don't care whether or not I'm the villain in someone's story because I know my heart. And I know that for years I have allowed things and people to show up and do the bare minimum or nothing. And I have still given my all. And I'm not doing that in 2026. And I want to encourage you not to do it as well, because you feel depleted. You feel your anxiety, you're anxious, you feel like I'm doing all this, I'm doing all that, and the energy isn't reciprocated. What is this? And so I want to encourage you to really look within, like how I'm doing, and find out, why do I keep allowing people to do the things that they do? Why do I keep struggling with people pleasing? And it really says that when you are struggling with people pleasing, it's because you're constantly seeking man's approval. So somehow in your mind, you believe that if I do this, or if I show up this way, or if I help them with this, or if I do this for them, or if I allow this to happen, and I don't say anything with this, or I don't set this boundary, that somehow they're going to approve of me, and somehow they're going to like me. And the reality is that they probably don't care that much about you anyway, if they're doing what they're doing. Right? And I also read that it's rooted in fear. Like, literally, people pleasing is rooted in fear. You fear what other people think and feel about you. Well, let me help you like I'm helping myself, and how the Lord is helping me. You cannot determine, you cannot control what people think and feel about you. You can be the nicest person here on the planet, and someone will still have something to say about you. She too nice. It's fake. I've been there. You could be the most unpleasant person. She always cranky. It does not matter. If you live your life trying to mold yourself to be what everybody else in the room wants you to be, you're going to be exhausted. Take it from someone who's been there and done that. If you are walking around with this fear and anxiety that people may not like me if I say no. People may not like me if I say I'm actually not doing that anymore. People may not like me if I say, actually, this is my boundary now and don't cross it, or there'll be consequences for it. I fear that people won't like me if I don't show up. I fear that people won't like me if I say I'm actually too exhausted and I want some me time, so I'm not going to do that today. I'm so afraid of what people think and feel about me that I'm just going to do it anyway. And completely disregard my feelings, my emotions, what I'm going through, what the Lord is telling me. I'm going to be disobedient to what he's saying, because sometimes he be telling us directly, don't do that, and we'll do it anyway because we fear man. Because I don't want to deal with the consequence of what will happen on the other side of it. But yet we will allow the consequence of disobedience. And so I'm not taking that into 2026. There are going to be some things that I am going to be letting go of. And just something, because I don't have the capacity. And that's the reality for a lot of you guys. You don't have the capacity. But yet and still you keep showing up, trying to prove that you are worthy, trying to prove that you are worth people caring or liking you or approving of you. Guess what? They probably don't like you anyway. They like what you do for them. And the quicker you get that in your mind, the faster, the better. The better. The faster you get that in your mind, the better. They're not really checking for you anyway. You make life convenient for them. They don't have to show up. They don't have to do the work. They know that Kim's going to do it. They know that you're going to do it. So they could do the very bare minimum and still feel like they are meeting expectations, meeting satisfactory, while you are over here trying to do exceptional things. Stop it. And I'm saying that to myself. Stop it. We are not walking into 2026 with that same spirit of people pleasing and trying to be liked because we fear man and we want his approval so bad. So I'm going to give you two scriptures before I get off of here. The first one is Galatians 1 and 10. And it says, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. The word literally says, am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. It literally tells us that when we people please, we are no longer a servant of Christ. And the craziest part is that most of us be doing people pleasing within the church. He is saying that we're not even a servant if we do that. Do what he tells you to do. That's how you're a servant. Not doing everything that everybody else tells you to do. You show up every day to work and you all frazzled. And they still giving you a bad review. Please do your job. Do the best of your ability. But trying to, they want me to do, no. We cutting that out in 2026. We are not living that way. Let me tell you, the way I'm so done, this past week, I said, oh, boundaries set 2026. I'm no longer people pleasing. The word is literally telling us that we cannot seek the approval of human beings and accept the approval of God. You can't have it both ways. The word also says, so that was Galatians 1:10, but then also in Proverbs 29:25, it says, fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. So it literally says that as we seek to approve man, that's a snare. But as we continue to trust in the Lord, we're kept safe. And so I'm going to leave y'all with that. If you just got on, go back and watch this, because baby, let me tell you what we're not doing in 2026. We not people pleasing. We're done with that. Especially because we want people to like us. Because guess what? They're going to talk about us anyway. So we might as well be obedient to the Lord. If they're going to talk about us, they might as well talk about us while we're being obedient to the Lord. So God, we thank you for today. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your just everything, who you are to us, God. We thank you for the ability to just get on here again, God. We want to bless your name because you are so, so, so worthy. God, tonight I believe that you had me come on to pray for your daughters who are struggling with people pleasing. But I also know that this is something that you're working with me on daily. God, I pray that as you're working with me, as you're doing a work in me, that you do a work in your daughters that are struggling with this. God, help us, those of us that we're rooted in fear. We fear what man is going to think and feel. We fear that they're not going to like us, or that they're not going to support. We just have all these different fears about man. So we do. We overcompensate, and we try to just make sure that people like us, God. And the reality is that they are going to like us or not like us, whether we do it or not do it. The truth of the matter is that we've been trying to show up and be exceptional in everything while allowing people to do the bare minimum and still wondering if we're going to be the good people in their story. And sometimes we're still the villain. So Father, I pray that as we enter into 2026, we're no longer afraid to be the villain in someone's story. And I don't mean that because we're going to go around just being mean and all that stuff. No, what I'm saying is that we can no longer, we know that we cannot control how people think or feel about us. We cannot control their narratives about us. And we no longer will try to control it by people pleasing. We will no longer try to overcompensate and do the most just to make sure that their story about us is a good one. When the reality is that we cannot control that. So help us say no to the things you want us to say no to. Help us say not right now to the things you don't want us to have our hands on right now. God, help us be able to better work in these relationships that we're in. A lot of our relationships are one-sided. A lot of the relationships that we have is all about what we can do for other people, and the energy is not reciprocated. God, help us let go of those, or help us let go in maybe the capacity in which we are in those relationships. God, I pray that you give us the wisdom to really navigate what this looks like, Father, because I don't want us walking around in fear of man this year. God, you said that literally in your word, that if we people please, we are not servants of Christ. And we know that walking into 2026, we want to be nothing more than a servant of Christ. So if you're saying that we cannot be a servant of Christ by trying to please people, we want to make sure that we leave people pleasing in 2025. Help us do that. We cannot do it without you. Because the truth of the matter is, we want people to like us. We want people to love us. We want them to have a good word or good feelings about us, God. But we know that that's not always possible. God, you sent your son Jesus, who was perfect, and they still nailed him to the cross. So God, help us understand that we can't control their narrative about us, but we can control our obedience to you in doing the things that you've told us to do, even that if that makes other people mad because we're no longer pleasing them. So God, I thank you for wisdom. I thank you for strength. And I thank you for the courage to do the things that you've told us to do, even if that means letting go. We love you and we honor you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. I'm out of here. I love y'all. I'll see you tomorrow for day 26. I do not know what I'm praying about, but y'all already know that. I'll see y'all later.